All right, a student recently came to my office and inquired about one of the homework problems, and I looked at it and I noticed, oh, I hadn't shown one of these in the video or in class, and so I wanted to work it out quick just to show you how to do it so you can do your homework. So this problem starts with an x to the fourth, so we expect 4 answers. So we have 7x to the fourth equals 56x. And they want us to use the zero product principle. So the first thing we're going to do is move the 56 over to the left-hand side and leave 0 on the right. Now we're going to notice, oh, both of these numbers can be divided by 7. So you factor out a 7 and an x, because they each have an x in it, and we're left with x to the third minus 8. Okay, now this is called the difference of perfect cubes. So x to the third is a perfect cube because it's to the third power, and 8 can be written as 2 to the third. And so there's a formula for that. And here's what I'm going to give you both formulas, and then we're only going to use one though. So if I have 2 perfect cubes being added, I can factor that into a plus b, a squared minus 2ab, not 2ab, just ab, minus ab, and then plus b squared. Now notice we do not have a plus sign. It's a minus sign in between those two, so we need this version. A cubed minus b cubed, and that looks like a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. So that's the one we need. And so we can factor this. All I have to do is anywhere we see an a up here, we're going to write x. So this is a. Anywhere we see a b up here, we're going to write 2. So we're going to get x minus 2, so a minus b. A squared would be x squared, plus ab would be plus 2 times x, so we'll write 2x. And then plus b squared, b is 2, so 2 squared would be 4. All this is equal to 0. And now we can get 2 answers right away. We're going to set this equal to 0, set this one equal to 0, and then the third and fourth answer are a little harder to get. We're going to set this whole bubble equal to 0. So let's look at the first one. Set 7x equal to 0. Well, to get rid of that 7, we just have to divide both sides by 7. And the 7's cancel on the left. Any number divided into 0 is 0, so x equals 0 is one answer. Okay, let's try x minus 2. Set x minus 2 equal to 0. We just need to add 2 to both sides, and we'll get 1x equals 2. So that's a second answer. Now the third and fourth answer come from solving this quadratic. Now what we try to do is factor it, but the fact there's a 4 that add up to 2, none of them will work. So 1 times 4 either adds to 5, or if you subtract one of the numbers, you can get 3. 2 and 2, no matter what you do with those numbers, those two numbers, you're not going to get to 2. So this one we have to use quadratic formula. So we're going to recognize there's a 1 in front of the x, and so we have a is 1, b is 2, the number in front of the x, and c is 4. And quadratic formula tells us that x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we saw this in one of the sections previously. So plugging in the numbers we have, it'd be minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared, which is 4, minus 4 times 1 times 4, all over 2 times 1. This is going to give us minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 6, this is 16 here, so 4 minus 16 is negative 12, all over 2 times 1 which is 2. Also good that we're showing this problem as well because I didn't talk about what you do with the square root of a negative in this class. So to get rid of this negative, we introduced an imaginary number called I. So I is equal to the square root of minus 1. So we're basically going to change that 12 into the square root of 12 times the square root of minus 1. So you can break up square roots if you use a square root. So I have 12, minus 12 turns into 2 square roots, the square root of 12 and the square root of minus 1, they're being multiplied, so that if I wanted to, I could combine them under one square root and call it the square root of minus 12. Now this square root of minus 1 will become I, this imaginary number. So we get x equals minus 2 plus or minus. I'm also going to do one more thing with the 12. I'm going to write the 12 as the square root of 4 times the square root of 3 minus 1 square root became I. So using that same idea, I can break up the 12 into a 4 times 3, the factors of 12, as long as they both have a square root. And now we can see that the square root of 4 is just 2. So we get minus 2 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 3 times I all over 2. And now the final two answers will be, because there's a 2 in all three terms, because there's a 2 in all these terms, I can divide everything by 2, and I get minus 1 plus or minus the square root of 3 times I. One is the plus root 3, and one is the minus root 3. In fact, let's type this in and make sure we got it. So our answers were 0, positive 2, and then we had minus 1 plus, and to get the square root, I'm going to click down here, 3, and then I'm going to click this little I button over here, and then the other answer is minus 1 minus square root of 3, oops, hit the wrong thing, just the simple one, 3, and then hit the over arrow so you're outside of the square root, don't put the I in the square root, like that, and then hit enter, check our answers, and we've got it. So hopefully that one's going to help you for this problem.